As the morning sun filtered through the windows, Sarah hurried through the crowded halls of Lincoln High, her mind buzzing with excitement and anticipation. It was the day of the annual science fair, and she couldn't wait to present her project, a homemade volcano that erupted with a dazzling display of colors. Just as Sarah rounded the corner, she collided with someone, sending her textbooks flying. With a sheepish smile, she bent down to gather her things, only to find herself face to face with a new student, Tom, a quiet boy with a shy smile and a backpack slung over his shoulder. Apologizing profusely for the collision, Sarah offered to help Tom find his way to his first class. As they walked together, Sarah learned that Tom had just moved to town and was feeling nervous about starting at a new school. Sensing his apprehension, Sarah reassured him that Lincoln High was a friendly place, filled with welcoming faces and open hearts. Arriving at their respective classes, Sarah and Tom parted ways, each feeling a little lighter and more at ease. Throughout the day, Sarah's excitement grew as she eagerly awaited the science fair, where she would have the chance to showcase her project and share her love of science with her classmates. As the final bell rang and the school day drew to a close, Sarah found herself lost in thought, reflecting on the events of the day. Though she had originally been focused solely on her project, her encounter with Tom had reminded her of the importance of kindness and empathy, especially toward those who were new or unfamiliar. Entering the gymnasium, Sarah scanned the room for her project, a smile spreading across her face as she spotted the colorful display of her erupting volcano. But as she made her way toward it, she caught sight of Tom standing nearby, a look of awe on his face. Approaching Tom, Sarah invited him to join her at her project, explaining the science behind the eruption and the materials she had used to create it. To her delight, Tom listened with rapt attention, asking questions and sharing his own ideas for future experiments. Sarah's heart warmed as she watched Tom's enthusiasm grow. She never imagined that a chance encounter in the hallway would lead to such a meaningful connection. It felt like they had known each other for much longer than just a day. As the science fair continued, Sarah and Tom wandered around the gymnasium, exploring the various projects on display. They marveled at the creativity and ingenuity of their classmates, from homemade solar-powered cars to intricate models of the solar system. With each project they encountered, Sarah and Tom shared stories and insights, discovering common interests and passions along the way. Sarah was impressed by Tom's knowledge of robotics, while Tom admired Sarah's talent for chemistry. As they talked and laughed, Sarah couldn't help but feel grateful for the unexpected friendship that had blossomed between them. She had always been shy around new people, but with Tom, she felt comfortable and understood in a way she hadn't before. As the science fair came to a close, the principal took to the stage to announce the winners of the various categories. Sarah listened eagerly, her heart racing with anticipation. But when her name wasn't called, she couldn't help but feel a twinge of disappointment. However, as she glanced over at Tom, she saw him beaming with pride. His project, a robotic arm designed to assist people with disabilities, had won first place in the technology category. Sarah couldn't help but feel genuinely happy for him. His hard work and dedication had paid off, and she knew he deserved every bit of recognition he received. As the crowd dispersed and the gymnasium emptied out, Sarah and Tom lingered behind, chatting and laughing as they helped clean up the remaining exhibits. The day had been a whirlwind of excitement and discovery, and Sarah felt a sense of gratitude for the friendship she had found in Tom. As they walked out of the school together, the sun sinking low on the horizon, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of their friendship. She had met many people in her life, but none had made her feel as comfortable and accepted as Tom. As they reached the front steps of the school, Sarah turned to Tom with a smile. "Thanks for walking me home," she said, her voice soft with sincerity. Tom returned her smile. "Anytime," he replied. "I had a great time today." Before they parted ways, Sarah hesitated for a moment, then reached into her bag and pulled out a small notebook. "Here," she said, offering it to Tom. "It's a list of all the science museums in the area. I thought maybe we could check them out together sometime." Tom's eyes lit up with excitement as he accepted the notebook. "That sounds amazing," he said, his voice filled with genuine enthusiasm. "I'd love to." As they said their goodbyes and went their separate ways, Sarah felt a sense of contentment wash over her. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew one thing for certain. She was grateful for the friendship she had found in Tom, and she couldn't wait to see where their shared love of science would take them next. As the days passed, Sarah and Tom's friendship continued to blossom. They spent hours together exploring science museums, conducting experiments in Sarah's backyard, and sharing their hopes and dreams for the future. Sarah felt like she had found a kindred spirit in Tom, someone who understood her in a way that no one else ever had. But as the end of the school year approached, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. There were moments when Tom seemed distant, lost in thought, as if he were hiding something from her. Sarah tried to ignore the nagging feeling in the back of her mind, chalking it up to her overactive imagination. One afternoon, as they sat on the swings at the local park, Sarah finally mustered up the courage to confront Tom about her suspicions. "Is everything okay?" she asked, her voice soft with concern. Tom hesitated for a moment, his eyes darting away before finally meeting hers. "There's something I need to tell you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Sarah's heart skipped a beat as she waited for Tom to continue. She could sense the weight of his words, even before he spoke them. "I'm not who you think I am," Tom said, his voice trembling with emotion. "My real name isn't Tom, it's Jake." Sarah's mind reeled as she tried to process what Jake had just told her. She felt a knot forming in the pit of her stomach, a sense of betrayal mingled with confusion. How could she have been so wrong about someone she thought she knew so well? Jake took a deep breath, steeling himself for what came next. "I wasn't entirely honest with you about why I came to this school," he admitted, his eyes filled with regret. "The truth is, I was expelled from my old school for getting into a fight. I thought if I started over somewhere new, I could leave all that behind me." Sarah listened in stunned silence as Jake poured out his heart, revealing the struggles and insecurities he had kept hidden for so long. She could see the pain etched into his features, the weight of his past bearing down on him like a heavy burden. But despite everything, Sarah felt a surge of compassion for Jake. She knew what it was like to carry secrets and regrets, to long for a fresh start in a world that seemed unforgiving and unkind. Reaching out, Sarah placed a comforting hand on Jake's shoulder, her eyes filled with empathy. "You don't have to face this alone," she said softly. "We all have parts of ourselves that we'd rather keep hidden, but that doesn't make us any less worthy of love and understanding." For a moment, Jake seemed to waver, torn between the walls he had built around himself and the possibility of letting someone in. But then, with a sigh of resignation, he nodded, his defenses crumbling in the face of Sarah's unwavering kindness. As they sat together in the fading light of the setting sun, Sarah and Jake talked late into the evening, sharing their fears and aspirations with an honesty that bonded them together in a way neither of them could have anticipated. And as they walked home together, their steps light and their hearts heavy with the weight of their newfound connection, Sarah knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, armed with nothing but their courage, their compassion, and the unshakable bond of friendship that had blossomed between them